Welcome to the Tavern, the Taeguk Warriors podcast. Well, it's not really a podcast. This is Google Hangout Live. I'm Roy Ghim, a.k.a. the Tavern owner. And with me are the rest of the Taeguk Warriors writers. We have Jinseok Yang from Tavern Studio, Ohio, I believe. Or maybe you're still in Connecticut? Yeah. All right. Yeah. Very good, very good. And coming in from Tavern Studio, Busan, Korea, Jae Chee. Coming at us early in the morning, 7 a.m. in Korea. How are you doing?
Just fine.
All right. Maybe joining us later will be coming in from LA, Jeremy Peck, and we'll also have possibly Tim Lee if he can get in with us from Tavern Studio, Canada. So obviously, most everybody saw that there was what most people saw as a horrific 1-0 loss at home in Seoul to Tunisia. This is a World Cup tune-up as Korea is preparing to go to the World Cup Brazil, and it's going to be starting in less than 13 days. So, of course, the first group match with Russia is not until June 17th. But, obviously a lot of people are talking, a lot of people are nervous, and some people even have lost all hope. But are people overreacting? Is this really the catastrophe that, that the score line suggests? We're going to have a really open discussion, really, and in so much, we're first going to start off with a really visual presentation. Let's see if I can. Of course, the Tavern of the Taeguk Warriors is attempting to re-enter the 21st century, so let's give this a whirl. Why don't we? With some multi-billion-dollar graphics. So. The fallout from Seoul World Cup Stadium. This should have been it should have been a win. Everybody was expecting a win against Tunisia, as we were trying to get a feel-good win in our preparations to go to the World Cup. Instead, it turned into, of course, a 1-0 really horrific loss, shockingly bad loss, as Jay put it, and. The worst part about it, too, was there was a scare. Hong Jung-ho, our center back of choice, received an injury and had to be taken off by stretcher. We could have lost him for the entire World Cup, and just a lot of bad luck for this gentleman. He had missed out on the 2012 World Cup as he was going into that 2012 Summer Olympics. He was Hong Myung-bo's captain. And after the match, there was a bombshell of a news report. Kim Jin-soo was determined that his ankle was too severe, couldn't make it in time for the World Cup. That's what the doctors thought. So he is out and replaced instead by Park Joo-ho from Mines. So that's what we've got. And we're going to go back to the writers here. That sort of sets us up for our Google Hangout discussion for the Tavern of the Taeguk Warriors. What do you guys think? We're just opening up this discussion here. Was it as horrific a loss as people say it was? I mean, what do we take from this?
I think initially I thought it was a pretty horrific loss, but as time went on, I watched the game a couple more times. It kind of lessened for me. I mean, it was still a bad loss and a real bad performance, but I don't think it's as the sky is falling as it was and the immediate reaction was after the match.
Yeah, I feel
because
go on.
Oh, I was just saying, just because it was a bad show performance, but it was something that could definitely see improvements on as the team continues to get their conditioning together and their fitness and gels over the next week or two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. The mistakes we made are easily fixable. And honestly, Tunisia is there are no pushovers, and the only thing that I'm worried about is that Russia and Algeria can play the same way against us and pull off a win. Although I have to say, a lot of the players weren't even trying that game. there wasn't much running. Like you didn't see like energy. Like when Hong Jung was like just before Hong Jung got injured, he was walking. You know, like there was just little effort. So I don't know. We'll see what happens versus Ghana. Now, if we're still like that versus Ghana, we have a problem.
Well, that's what a lot of people were commenting about. The lack of energy. I mean, I think that was the theme that was starting to emerge. Like, where was these people's fitness for what should have been, a very straightforward World Cup tune-up? A lot of people were surprised at the form of the fitness. But perhaps the apologist view is simply that, a lot of people were coming in from Europe injured and were recovering. Ki-sung Young had hardly played in the last month. Pak Chu-young also, coming off from injury, hardly playing for Watford after scoring, that one goal against Greece in the friendly at the beginning of, what was it, March? So, it's that's the apologist view, but I don't know. Could that be the rationale for this, or are we making too much excuses for the team?
I think you could see it as a reason to an extent, but I don't think you can use it to completely forgive it, because I think part of it also is that if Hong's gonna make those calls to bring in all these players who are coming off injuries, then he has to kind of prepare and take that into consideration as he sets out his team and his tactics. That some of these players aren't going to be 100%. They're not going to be able to give their normal energy levels, so he has to compensate for that somehow. But I do think injuries. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna make a really quick comment that it's a damn good thing we're in Group H and our first match is on the 17th. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe the meaning for this going into the World Cup is we're lucky. We're not in Group G, but that said, there was a lot of expectation, and maybe this was a blessing in disguise. I wrote in the Tavern that perhaps there was some undue expectation that's now just been leveled, and perhaps we can. I think maybe Korea, one of the best advantages playing in international tournaments is that we have the element of surprise. A lot of Western teams do, and Western analysts do, underestimate the Korean team, and they've pulled off a lot of upsets, partially because of that. I don't know how much we can utilize with that, but the form that we saw last Wednesday wasn't bad. I mean, perhaps we just simply say this was an off game.
I mean, I think it is an off game to an extent, but again, I don't feel like you can really accept that just to say, well, it's a one-off and we'll be fine. Because I think it showed. I think there were enough kind of little issues that we have seen consistently enough that there are still things that need to be ironed out and fixed before Brazil, if we want to have any chance of getting out of the round. And also, I do think the media, Western media, does underestimate Korea, but I wouldn't say the same thing for the teams we'll play. I'm sure for the World Cup, they'll all be very well researched, very well prepared for us. So I don't think that's really a big thing for the World Cup.
Not only that, but underestimating your opponent in the World Cup is equivalent to suicide. It doesn't work out.
Yeah, and I think actually, to an extent, that's something Korea needs to be a little bit considered, because obviously Belgium is getting kind of a lot of attention, Russia, but I think you do still kind of get the feeling that to an extent Korea is underestimating Algeria and how tricky that game could be.
The media is, yeah. And if Algeria play the exact same way Tunisia does, we're screwed.
Because Algeria, I mean, I don't think there's not a whole lot of worth in comparing like friendly results, but last night Algeria did win their friendly against Armenia 3-1. And so apparently, I didn't watch it because it was middle of the night, but someone else here did on Twitter, and they said that Algeria looked pretty impressive.
Right.
With the B team.
Yeah, with their B team, they didn't start a lot of their Europe-based players and their bigger players. So
On the subject of comparison, it's worth noting that, and I did say something about this on the Tavern, that look at our neighbor Japan. They were playing a country that was FIFA ranked 130th in Cyprus. They did win their game, but it was very unconvincing. Only one goal separated that and utter embarrassment. And, again, these are tune-up matches. There was a writer for Yonhap News that, was in a Twitter conversation with, who mentioned in the press conference hearing the ex-Belgium coach and now the Tunisia coach was saying that, that they won all, as ex-head coach of Belgium. In '98, going into the World Cup, they won all of their World Cup tune-up matches, and then, just got knocked out in the group stage. And so all of that, whatever good wins, it didn't translate into the real deal in the group stage of the World Cup.
Yeah, definitely. So you can also think of Japan, and there's always a famous Japan 2010 example. We could do that. Alternatively, what was I gonna say? Yeah, forgot. Alright, go on.
well, I think it's more important than looking at the results is you have to look at the performances. I think because I think if the result against Tunisia had ended 0-0, which probably would have been fair, as a result, I still think it would have been a disappointing performance enough that there would still be worries about the team, even if we hadn't lost.
Right. Everybody, give me a moment here. I think we're going to try to get Jeremy Peck in with us. Double checking, see if we can get him on board. And we got Tim Lee joining us. Okay. Tim, can you hear us? All right. We're going to see if we can get Tim on board in just a moment.
Looks like his mic is off.
It does look like his mic is off. Give me a second here. I believe it's on. I think it's on his end.
Yeah.
Hey Tim, if you can hear us, see if you can turn your mic on. Okay. Moving on. Hopefully we'll get Tim and Jeremy on board. If you've just joined us, this is the Tavern, the Taeguk Warriors, and we are having a live broadcast, a Google Hangout, if you will, trying to deconstruct the 1-0 Tunisia loss. There was something that I heard earlier in our conversation that was kind of interesting. The other Group H World Cup opponents in Russia and Algeria, watching the match with Tunisia, they may try to adopt what Tunisia did to try to beat us. Can you elaborate more on this idea?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. No. Because I mean, no, go on.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm probably gonna say the same thing as you. So.
Oh, I was just gonna say I watched part of the Russia-Norway game last night.
Norway.
One good thing about Korea is that they're broadcasting all the Korean enemies World Cup games previews, and Russia, they're not. I don't know. There seems to be this idea that they're a real defensive team. I don't know exactly where it comes from. Maybe just because they have Capello as a coach. But they're not a defensive team. I mean, they're very well balanced, and when
their counters are scary.
Yeah, because I mean, they'll go for it, and they'll have their possession. We shouldn't expect like a 60-40, 70-30 possession domination like we saw against Tunisia. It'll be very even 50-50 or somewhere around that mark. I mean, Russia's not going to sit back for us. Russia's not going to be like, oh, it's Korea. They're going to come at us. We need to defend and sit really deep. They'll defend when they have to, but when they get the ball, they're going to keep possession. They're going to come at us. I mean, they're not going to change just because they saw Tunisia get a kind of fortunate 1-0 win over us. So.
And if Hong Jung-ho and Kim Young-won make a mistake, we're doomed against that team. It needs to be compact, and we need to get the first goal. And once you get the first goal, I think things will start working out.
Well, on the subject,
especially.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying, especially at the World Cup, because I mean, the tournament's so important that except for like the really top teams, I think most teams go and take the mentality of we just can't lose this game. So I think there's gonna be a lot of 1-0, 1-1 kind of games in the group stages. That seems to be how it's going these years. So getting that first goal is going to be absolutely vital. If we go down 1-0, it's going to be hard.
So scoring first would be, if I'm hearing you correctly, is really crucial to really keeping those games competitive in the group stage matches.
Yeah, I mean it's a cliche a little bit, but it is true. It's one of those kind of true ones that, I mean, if you go down 1-0, they will probably look to defend it a little bit and just counter.
10 men in the box.
Yeah. But I mean, 10 men in the box is normal nowadays. I mean, almost everyone does it except Korea, except us. But I mean, even like the big teams do it. I mean, it's just what you do. You get 2 banks of 4, compact right on the outside, don't concede the middle, and then break. And that's just on the counter. That's how it is.
What do we do?
Speaking of our central defenders, Hong Jung-ho, we have an update on his injury report. Initially, everybody was fearing, because he was taken out in stretcher, this is looking really bad. We may have lost Hong Jung-ho. The update prognosis seems to be good from the doctors. What we got yesterday was that there was a slight sprain. The ankles might have been rolled, but it looks like he should be able to recover within a week.
Yeah, it wasn't serious at all. Like even if you look at the replay, I know some people were freaking out, but it wasn't. I mean, it was almost harmless actually. I mean, he was on a stretcher, but like it wasn't that bad.
I think the only concern was that on the replay, it looked like he rolled his ankle a little bit when he fell. You kind of twist in that kind of awkward sideways way, and I think it looked worse, especially in slow motion. But I think, in hindsight, it wasn't terrible. Maybe.
Although I thought, just to stay on the how he got injured, I was surprised that the ref didn't call that a yellow card. I mean, it looked like a bad challenge at the very least.
Maybe. I mean, I think the only reason that you would have booked him is maybe because it looked like it was kind of one of those behind hooking slide tackles.
It was a behind hooker, yeah, exactly.
That would be the only reason.
Good thing was Hong Jung-ho was jogging / walking, so I mean, he kind of baited it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've never seen him do that. That was like almost Lee Dong-guk-esque, like where you just like scroll around and like don't care about anything. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, there was relief. There's a lot of relief. I mean, if we had lost Hong Jung-ho, I think though that we were looking at a really long, well, actually, I think possibly a shorter World Cup adventure in this particular campaign. But fortunately, we should be able to get him back. We have a question from Twitter live from LSJU97. Is there any revenge factor for the KNT against Russia from what people saw as an injustice in the Sochi Olympics? And I think everybody knows what they're referring to with perhaps an ice skating decision.
No, there will be revenge factor, and I do want them to do the triple Axel celebration. It's going to happen.
If they don't roll to the ankle, it's fine.
Hey, we got Tim Lee from
Yay.
Tavern Studio, Quebec.
Hello, sorry about that. Just got on.
No, quite all right. Glad you could join us.
Yeah.
Tim, I know we had been talking on Twitter about that being a possibility, partly in jest.
Yeah.
But
I don't think so. I don't think there's any revenge factor. because I think it feels when Sochi happened and that decision happened. I mean, I know we're getting off topic a little bit now, but I mean there was like it was more like an annoyance. It wasn't really there wasn't that much anger here though about it. Because like compared to like what happened in 2000, what was it 2002 with Ono? I mean that was like insane, like kill him. And even now, like they're like I saw like I can't remember his name anymore, but the Korean skater was on a TV show and they asked him about it. You could see like he was still like 10 years later, he was still really pissed about it, and all the other people were really like, oh yeah, that one, oh no. So, but I mean, it's really I don't think there's any revenge factor, but.
Well,
maybe. Who knows? It'd be an interesting celebration to see if they wanted to do it.
Right. It might be in the background as if or when we get the win. I think it definitely could be somewhere in the background.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll see. Whatever.
I think what might be a bigger factor is I think I mentioned this before in another earlier Tavern podcast, but. At the time, a couple of months ago when we were talking about the World Cup draws and going into the group stage, Russia was already doing some, pretty dastardly things. Since then, the invasion of Crimea and what they're doing with the Ukraine and so forth, I think that there could be even more a greater narrative that's being formed of Russia as, the bad guys on the world stage.
Well, we should be careful.
That's Western media. Korea media doesn't really care, as far as I can tell.
Really? Well, yeah. I don't know. Mixing politics and sports isn't the best thing, but I think, from the way I see it, Russia's sort of the bad guy, in all of this political battles and stuff. But anyhow.
Well, I like the Western narrative in that regard. I think that we've got some sort of proverbial bad guy here, and it could end up being kind of a nice moral win in that regard. We may have the world's back at the very least going into this match.
No pressure.
All right, I've been trying to get Jeremy Peck onto the Tavern. Jeremy, if you're listening, we're trying desperately to get you on board for the Tavern broadcast. So we're going to keep trying to send the invites to you, so hang tight. Going back, if you just joined us, this is the Tavern, the Taeguk Warriors. We are the writers here for this blog, and we're trying to deconstruct the loss to Tunisia and sort of deconstruct what it really means ultimately going into the World Cup. Maybe at this point it would serve us well if we took a look at the defensive breakdown that happened. I think it's very instructive to try to learn from this and see, hopefully, is there potential to prevent this from happening again. This goal was not from a set piece, fortunately, but it happened right down the middle, embarrassingly enough. So let me see if I can get to... Jay was nice enough to share a visual breakdown of what happened here. So if everybody can see, this is the start. We've got a screenshot of the beginning build-up to that goal. And mind you, this all happened in 8 seconds. If you can see the player on the ground, I believe, is Jinseok Yang. He gave the ball away, but it wasn't anything, that he should be, hung for. So Tunisia got the ball back. It wasn't Jinseok Yang.
You see that?
No.
Like when the fullbacks are behind the center backs,
yeah.
The big gaping hole. That should not
those
ever
aren't the
happen.
center backs. Those aren't the center backs. Those are the two deep midfielders.
Really?
The center backs are off the picture. They're so deep. Center backs are off the picture. You'll see the center backs in the next picture. There's four. Alright.
Never mind.
If we could roll back in time just a moment ago, this is where the ball was lost. So it's probably just a moment later. There's Tunisia marching down the middle with that, dribbling down.
I don't know if I can explain it without it jumping over camera-wise.
Sure.
But,
okay.
Yeah, basically the two players. Alright, this is the second picture. So here, you can see there are the two center backs on the far left. and the midfield is basically just kind of let him run through them. So it was kind of poor defending from the midfield. And defensively, position-wise, I don't think there was a huge problem with the center backs at that point. And really, the goal was a little bit unlucky. You just go when Roy has a chance and goes to the next screen. We can actually see it. Because basically, the ball hits Hong Jung-ho as he tries to play it through, but then the deflection just comes right back to the Tunisia player, and he just runs by them.
That's right.
But you could maybe fault. Oh, you can see it. It keeps jumping around. But you can kind of fault maybe Kim Young-kwan a little bit because he stops. Again, kind of like Kim Jin-soo did against Greece. Because since that little hesitation from Kim Young-kwan allows the Tunisia player to get by him because he stops and the Tunisia player just keeps running. So by the time Kim Young-kwan gets running again, he can't recover in time.
And this is the finale.
Well, this is already, he's already by him. Yeah, Kim Young-kwan is because he stopped and tried kind of this stop-start thing. He just didn't have the acceleration to get back. So it's a little bit unlucky because, you know, if the deflection had gone almost anywhere else, then it's probably not a goal. But you could fault Kim Young-kwan for not, you know, seeing the play out, keep running, and maybe you could fault Hong Jung-ho a little bit for not being more cynical, if you will. Because you feel like I felt like, you know, in that situation, once Hong Jung-ho sees the players going by him, he needs to just drag him down and get booked and do the so-called professional foul.
Yeah.
Because just letting him walk by him was, I think, a poor defensive decision.
Yeah.
And you do say that it was a lucky deflection and that it could have gone anywhere else, but I actually think that it was a very good thing that happened. It serves as a perfect wake-up call.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there are lessons to be drawn from it, but just in terms of the game as a result, it was a little lucky.
Just sometimes it feels like we need like another set of friendlies to be ready, but we don't. So it's kind of we're still sort of patching things together.
Right. That we're hearing a lot of background noise from somebody. Let's see. Let's see if we can.
Probably Jeremy.
I think that's
Jeremy,
me.
are you here?
Yeah.
Hey, Jeremy, how
I'm
you
here.
doing?
I'm at a good. I'm at a Starbucks right now.
Oh, are you?
My house is ruined, so I had no other option. Sorry.
No worries.
Is that okay or?
It's a little better. We're still hearing a lot of background noise from you, but just real quickly, let's get your take on the game. Initially, I was you were amongst a couple of people. You weren't the only one that said that you literally had tears when you saw that game. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah.
That it was just a very fatalistic view of our chances in the World Cup based on that World Cup tune-up?
I feel like we were given a lot of time to prepare after the U.S. tour, and just to see the team in that I guess state, it's really disappointing. It's shocking. I thought we'd be much more organized defensively and offensively, and you know, when I saw that game, it didn't seem that was the case.
Well, going back to what Jinseok was saying, and a couple of people are now starting to say this. This is perhaps, if there's anything good that we could take out of this, this is a wake-up call, and there's no better, form or way to get this lesson than in these tune-ups right before the World Cup. Better now than the game against Russia, for sure.
Yeah.
So let me ask, with a defensive breakdown like that, we didn't concede on set pieces, so there's progress from that point of view. What's to prevent something like that from happening again? A goal right down the middle, especially when you're talking about the likes of Eden Hazard and Lukaku in Belgium for the last Group H game.
You would think that Hong Myung-bo and Kim Tae-young would give them like pro tips, but it hasn't been working out apparently.
Yeah.
I think it's just a focus thing.
Yeah, they lose focus all the time.
Yeah. They just have these. They shut off sometimes, and it costs us. Seems like once a game, at least. So it's one of those things. It can be fixed, but it's just a matter of will it get fixed.
I think there are themes that emerge with the Korean national team. Themes about the whole of the group of the team is greater than the sum of its parts. If there's something that we can take away from their Olympic success, was that the Hong Myung-bo was able to put that into play of having a very good organized team response to the challenges of all their opponents. I'm really hoping that they're able to coalesce in time.
Question is there enough time? Is there enough time for them to coalesce before the World Cup? Or are we talking now looking 2015 Asian Cup and 2018?
Yeah, we have 2.5 weeks. Should be fine.
Yeah, I mean it should be, but I don't know. It seems like we're always saying it should be fine, and next time. But then there's still these little individual mistakes.
Tournaments.
I mean, I wish I could inspire confidence or something, but it's very unsure right now. We have a couple weeks left until the World Cup, so.
But I don't know. There's some people that are saying that maybe there's something that has to be stepped up in the training regimens, to get them to coalesce. And now the team has traveled from Seoul they've arrived in Miami at their camp. They're getting ready for the June 9th friendly against Ghana. So I guess I'm wondering out loud, what's going through Hong Myung-bo's mind? What strategically is he going to have to do for an effective tune-up to happen before the Group H games start to happen?
Well, that's kind of the thing, is that it doesn't really feel like there's one specific thing that needs to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, we see they need time to coalesce and gel, but most of these players have played with each other for quite a while, so they shouldn't really need that much more time.
Well, let me shelve that question for just a moment. Let's get back to the Tunisia match just for a moment. I completely forgot about the goalkeeper position. I mean, there's a couple of specific things that we can touch on really quickly that I think are interesting, taking away from this Tunisia match. I'm getting mixed reports about how people thought the current goalkeeper, Jung Sung-rung, did in this particular match. What do you guys think? Did he hold on to his starting position?
It was typically Jung.
Yeah.
No, Jung was fine.
Jung.
I don't. Wait, I thought Jung was actually not that bad versus Tunisia.
He wasn't terrible, but he wasn't great. He was average.
He's
not at fault for the
decisions.
goal. Yeah, the thing is that he's not at fault for the goal. I don't think we can blame him for that. And he did what he had to do, but he's still, I think at times he's not confidence inspiring. I think that's kind of the big thing, is that.
No.
He was nervous, but he managed to clear everything, which he usually doesn't do.
Not everything.
I don't think it was a typical Jung game. It was definitely improvement.
I thought it was fairly typical of him.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm fast forwarding ahead for just a moment, but and this is sort of a foreshadowing of things to come. Jay, you had put in what you thought might be what we're going to see in Ghana, or a.
Oh no, I don't.
Could be effective.
I'll clarify. I was just thinking. at my job, I usually have a few hours after I finish teaching where I just sit at my desk. That's usually when I write for the tavern. But I was just thinking, because the thing that I felt like against Tunisia we needed more was width, because Tunisia was very compact. And I'm doing my detailed analysis, and hopefully it'll be up today or later today or tomorrow or something. I'm going through like 40 screenshots, and it's like 1,600 words, and I feel like it's only half done. But anyway, but yeah, basically what Tunisia did is they had 5 across the back, and then 3 in the middle.
In the
3 or 4
box.
in the middle.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the box. And so basically what Tunisia's doing is that they have the 5 across the back, the fullbacks deal with the fullbacks, our fullbacks, because Son Heung-min and Lee Chung-young were both drifting inwards, but then they drift right into that block of 6-7 players, and Park Ji-young's there too, and so there's no space in the middle, so what we needed was more width. And so to do that, I thought of a 4-4-2, and Roy, if you want to show it, I don't think this would be good against Ghana. I think it would be fairly suicidal against Ghana, because I think Ghana
It would be good against Algeria.
Yeah, it's good. It's a better formation for teams that you feel that will sit deeper, because then you can get more numbers in, you stretch the team wide, you have the wide midfielders and fullbacks going on the outside, and you can put you in the middle to kind of help control things. But basically, my 4-4-2 is basically the same thing that Hong Eun-bo had, except I dropped Kujat Chol and I put Park Ju-ho on the left. Yeah, I put Kim Shin-wook just because he had something different, and I felt that, I mean, realistically, Park Ju-young would be a better option, but in terms of link-up, but I was just thinking Kim Shin-wook adds something a little different. He's more familiar with the 4-4-2, because that's what Ulsan usually plays, and I just seem to remember Kim Shin-wook's one decent game for the national team was when they went 4-4-2. What? It wasn't Russia. It was I want to say it was a qualifier under Choi Kang-hee, but he put Kim Shin-wook up top with Son Heung-min right behind him. And I thought that was one of his better games, was when he had someone playing off him that he could kind of knock the ball down to.
Let me see if I can get this formation you were talking about right up here.
Yeah, Roy, could you zoom in a little?
Come again?
Could you zoom in?
Yeah, I'm going to try to zoom in. Give me a second.
Jay, so who are your 2 top?
Yeah, so it's basically, it's Kim Shin-wook, Son Heung-min is the 2 top. But, I mean, Park Ju-young would be is obviously the better player, but I don't know. I guess I was just kind of still thinking about his form, and that Tunisia, he was a little anonymous.
I don't know if you can see this. You have Kim Young-kwan as your goalkeeper of choice, so he's sort of off the screen. But then here's what your 4-4-2 looks like. Kim Sung-gyu. My bad.
Yeah.
But here's what your 4-4-2 is looking like.
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, this 4-4-2 is a little half-assed, if I'm honest, because it's not my ideal player selection, but it's also, it's not exactly what I would want it to be.
But it's interesting.
Because I don't think Kim Shin-wook is really a great fit. Because, I mean, obviously, for a 4-4-2 to work, you need one of your strikers to drop into midfield to help against 3-man midfields. And Kim Shin-wook can't really do that well because he's not mobile enough, really. But Park Ji-young, I didn't do Park Ji-young because his form's a little off. So, I don't know. Maybe Kim Sun-dae in the future.
Yeah.
But I think it's an interesting idea going forward.
Who did you put as your left winger? Sorry, my thing disconnected.
Park Ju-ho. I have Park Ju-ho on the left wing and Jinseok Yang behind him.
Huh. Maybe.
It is interesting because Park Ju-ho has been known to be versatile and at Mainz was used at times as a left wing. So
it's also in theory. If I don't know if people remember, but after the U.S. camp, I put out like 3 or 4 formation variations on the blog, And so this is kind of a hybrid, the 4-4-2. It could be a 4-3-3 if you you push Lee Chung-young a little higher and Sun Heung-min to the left, and then you kind of centralize the other three. So
I heard another option that people could utilize, which is if we stick with Hong Myung-bo's 4-2-3-1, is putting Sun in the hole.
No.
You don't like that idea?
I don't like that idea.
Well, who do you put on the left?
Yeah, that's my question.
Kim Bo-kyung?
Yeah, I mean, Kimbo didn't do too badly in Tunisia when he was subbed in, but it wasn't spectacular, but seemed to hold his own.
I'm not a huge fan of Sun Heung-min in the hole in a 4-2-3-1. I think he gets a little lost, I think, in the middle.
Okay.
At this point.
He belongs on the left.
I mean, could we see Hong Myung-bo do some experimenting beyond the 4-2-3-1 for the Ghana match?
No.
Hong he only plays either a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-4-2.
Yeah.
Never seen him do
it is. I don't know if you do it, but I mean, it is worth remembering that against Japan at the Olympic, he did a 4-4-2, essentially.
Did he? Really?
Yeah, basically, because Koo-ja-chol basically dropped out onto the wide with Park Ju-young and Ji Dong-won playing up top.
Wait. I thought the lineup was Kim Bo-kyung started on the left with Koo-ja-cha in the middle.
Park Ju-young, Park Jong-woo, Ki Sung-young, and
who was on the right? Was it G or?
That was Nante.
Yeah, it was Nante. Yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
Isn't that a
so it's Koo-ja-chol, Ki Sung-young, Park Jong-woo, Nante in the midfield, Ji Dong-won, Park Ju-young up top.
And then Kim Bo-kyung on the left.
Did Kim Bo-kyung? The Nante must have started.
That's right. I think Kim.
I don't remember.
But
Kim Bo-kyung started because I remember thinking, oh, he wants someone who's played against the Japanese players before.
Well, at the very least, I'm going backwards from the potential Ghana game to back to Tunisia one more time. What went well, I thought, may have been Han Kook-young. I mean, I know he wasn't perfect either, like the rest of the team, but some of the slide tackles I saw, I know.
Very good.
Jinseok, you were saying that's one of his best qualities, and he showed that, and that was very encouraging. We got the ball back a couple of times because of that. And I think that in the final end, we did have, 63% ball possession, even though we lost kind of like a Barcelona meaningless possession. And I think we played a lot worse than Barcelona normally would play.
Well, yeah.
Barcelona's massive.
But anyways, Han Kook-young, I mean, so I think definitely, he could be one of the anchors, and hopefully, I think, again, Ki Sung-young, taking the apologist view, had a little bit of rust from not playing, and I think he'll be on his A game very shortly, at least we hope,
Hopefully. Knock on wood.
So I just pulled up the Japan game lineup. It was Park Ju-young and then Kim Bo-kyung, Koo-ja-chol, Ji Dong-won. Yeah.
Interesting.
I think that is a straight up 4-2-3-1 though.
No, but it is on paper. But when you actually watched it, it was usually Ji Dong-won would stay higher, and they would send these long balls to him to head down to Park Ju-young, who was kind of dropping deeper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I remember it stood out to me because I actually watched it again a couple weeks ago because I kind of forgotten it. But Koo-ja-chol was definitely dropping deep on wide onto the flanks.
Oh, okay.
So it looked very 4-4-2.
Against Japan, long balls work. It just doesn't work on anyone in our group.
Yeah.
All right. Here's what I think I'm going to propose. We're going to take a quick 30-second break, and then I'd like to talk about the impact of Kim Jin-soo being out and Park Joo-ho coming in. I think it's really interesting, kind of a situation that's just developed right after the Tunisian match. So if you're watching this is the Tavern, the Taeguk Warriors. This is the Google Hangout deconstructing the Tunisia loss as we go forward into the World Cup. What does it mean? And we'll be right back.
Maybe join. FYI, Roy, it's not showing anything.
It's not showing anything. That's too bad.
Oh, it is, but the camera's jumping around. So like right now it's showing Tim's screen.
Yeah, as long as none of us make noise, then it's okay.
Alright. Everyone's still.
Sorry.
Is it,
All right.
is it too noisy on my end? I can't really
Let's just move on.
It's you and Tim. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, sorry.
Anyway.
All right. I think we're back. Let's talk about this real quick. What do you think? A lot of people, when the roster was issued, that was one of the points of controversy with Hong Mong-bo's call-ups. Now, a lot of people are saying, all right, this is cool. We're going to get to see Park Joo-ho coming in. What kind of impact is this going to have as we go to the Ghana friendly, the last tune-up match, and the Group H World Cup matches?
Say none.
Hey!
I have to get rid of the baby. I'll be back. 잠시만요.
Wait, Roy, could you repeat your question one more time?
Yeah.
With Kim Jin-soo being injured, it was determined his ankle was so bad that he wasn't going to be able to be effective for the World Cup. What impact is this going to have now having Park Joo-ho coming into the roster now?
I'm not sure. I do think in the end, as for starting lineup, I don't think much will change because Jinseok Yang will. I think Jinseok Yang is in the lead regardless who comes in. Maybe environment-wise, that's a little stretch. I'm not sure exactly what like the player relationships are. I know Swallowman is really close to Kim Jin-soo because they've been, they've been teammates for a long time, but I don't know.
Right. All right.
Jay?
Sorry, I missed everything.
No, quite all right. We're talking about Kim Jin-soo being out. Any impact you think that Park Joo-ho is now being called up? Well, at the very least, according to your version of the musings on a possible 4-4-2, you have him on the left wing, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it was just amusing. I don't actually expect to see anything like that because I think Hong's a little set in what his approach is going to be. So I think Park Joo-ho's inclusion is probably going to be minimal because I heard the tail end of Jinseok's thoughts, and I do think Jinseok Yang is pretty clearly the favorite front runner to be the left back. I can't see Park Joo-ho being used as a midfielder really. So barring, I think, any sort of suspension or injury to Jinseok Yang, I don't think we'll see much of Park Joo-ho. That's my gut feeling. And again, I don't know about like the personal relationships. I mean, I do know, like Jinseok said, that Kim Jin-soo and Son Heung-min are basically going through the same age bracket and have played together. So I don't know if that'll affect anything or any sort of chemistry that they had on the left. So I think it'll be a minimal impact. I don't think you'll see much of Park Joo-ho. I don't think it'll affect the squad as a whole too much either. So
I don't think so either.
Okay.
But I said it on Twitter, but I think it's a little strange that after basically Hong said that he didn't include Park Joo because his injury was severe enough they didn't think he would be fit in time, and now all of a sudden he's fully fit to join up.
Yeah, it's a little inconsistent, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It feeds my idea that he just didn't want Park Ji-woo, really. He feels like
we
his
all
hand is
kind of
being
knew
pushed
that in
now.
the beginning, right?
Yeah. And I mean, look, I feel like some people kind of think I'm harsh on Hong for his selections. I mean, he has every right to select the players he wants, but I just think the Park Ji-woo thing, I think people were a little inconsistent on.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
I have a question. Hello?
Yes, Jeremy.
Hi.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that whole controversy about regarding Lee Sung-young using his left hand during the national anthem? Was that
We're
like-
gonna get to that later.
Okay.
No, it's nothing. It's nothing.
It's nothing.
Oh, all right.
It's nothing.
He was nervous, probably.
I mean, just how
Yeah.
I feel like
Dennison's.
how the Korean public perceives things. It's
Dude.
a little. I don't know.
Ridiculous.
Netizens.
Nothing
Netizens
to do
being
with
netizens.
anything.
Netizens. That's it. Yeah.
Although I do suspect netizens
Okay,
has
we'll-
something to do. Although I do suspect netizens.
We'll get to
has-
that. Yeah.
Never mind. Never mind.
Go ahead, Tim.
Cool.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I do sus. Can I go ahead? Okay.
Alright.
I do suspect netizens have something to do with Sung Min beating Robin right now so far in the Bundesliga Dream Team poll or something, and which makes no sense. It's by like 50%. That's
Wait.
ridiculous.
Why do we talk? Why are we talking about that all of a sudden? We're talking about.
I don't know. Netizens got me off
We're
topic.
talking about netizens. The power of the
Oh.
Korean netizen.
Oh,
Anyway.
yes.
So
Alright,
artificial.
Anyway. More important things.
let's talk about that.
Oh, should we talk about Keith?
Keith? Want to talk about Keith?
Let's talk about
Really? What's the schedule like? Alright, okay, let's talk about Keith. So what happened was, Lee Sung-young, we know he's kind of retarded sometimes. So in Korea, in school, you are taught to salute the flag with the right hand on your chest, like this. That's what you're supposed
Right.
to do.
We're taught
Now,
that
this
here in
isn't the
America.
first time he did it with his left hand. Not his first time. He's probably just being retarded. Now, the netizens get all butthurt and say he should not, does not deserve to be on the team. They're like, oh my god, what's he doing? He's not Korean. He shouldn't be on the national team. Like, what the, you know? No one got time for that. Who cares? It's a non-issue. But they're making like mountains out of molehills. Yeah. Okay. So that's it.
Right.
I think, strange as it seems to us, I think there's still amongst a certain segment of the population some animosity towards Key from the Choi Chang-hee fallout. His
Yeah. They like to pick
personal
on
message,
Key.
I think. He and Park Chu-young, there's
He's talking about
certain group that will
exactly.
not forgive them. They're not forgive them for what happened. Because
Exactly,
this
yeah.
nationalistic pride that comes into Korea is just, they disgraced us and they will never be forgiven for doing so.
Right. It's national pride, even though they're representing your country at the World Cup. It's national pride to hate them.
But to them, the national pride is that they've disgraced our pride, so they should not represent us.
Yeah. Okay.
But anyway,
Bull crap.
it's nothing, and it's
And I think
just
it'll
not
take.
worthy of our time.
It's not worth our time.
I suspect
Well
in
said.
even less than a day that it'll be a non-issue. But and anyway, I'm just curious. Where do we go from here? We're looking at the Ghana. I guess of course there's a Ghana fixture, and I think maybe because I'm disappointed in Korea's loss, I happen to be wearing the Ghana jersey.
What? No!
Find me, bro.
That's the nationalist
Boo.
right.
You know what? I may be a self-hating Korean. I may have just.
Cool, man.
Now I'm a target of netizens' hate at this point. All right, but
Yeah, your Twitter is gonna get overrun.
Yeah. Good luck.
This is my artificial way of generating a controversy. All right, so June 9th, Miami, replicating the heat of Brazil and humidity. We're going to face Ghana, Black Stars. They're going to be a tough opponent. What do we expect that's going to happen with? Can Korea step it up in time? We were talking about the energy situation, the form, the fitness, the recovery from injury, Hong Jung-ho coming back. It on paper it looks like, possibly a potential clusterfuck, but is it really, or is that unfounded fears?
Will they get their shit together? I mean, I think I'm optimistic. I mean, I don't. Go on.
I'm slightly pessimistic. I think we'll probably lose it, but I think the performance will be better. I'm hoping. Honestly, the result doesn't bother me too much, but as long as the performance is a little better, I'll be satisfied.
Korea did beat Ghana in 2011, I believe. It was a 2-1, pretty convincing win. And there was a number of players, I think, that were on that 2011 team that is part of this World Cup team facing Ghana.
Yeah.
So, I have every reason to believe that a couple of things that are tweaked, and we're going to be competitive against Ghana. And that'll be good for the team Kibun, so to speak.
Oh.
I don't know, because I never feel like Korea travels well, so I'm not expecting a whole lot. Because I'm pretty sure that 2011 game was in Seoul.
It was in Seoul, yeah.
It was.
And the goal scorers were Park Ji-young and Ji Dong-won, and none of them are on form right now.
Ji Dong-won doesn't even
Not
play as
even
the forward.
Son Min-is on form right now.
No one's on form.
Exactly.
Everyone's either injured, recovered from injury, or off form.
Except Lee Chung-young and Hanguk Young, they seem to be good for now.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, Jae Chee Young was good, but it was weird. He was really deep against Tunisia. He was almost like a right back sometimes.
Lee Young was above him a lot of times.
Yeah, that was kind of strange.
That was strange. Song Jung-ho actually has had a pretty good season. He's been very solid the times he's played. So he's on form. Kim Young-won should be, right?
It's always a mystery to me that the whole the art, the chemistry, the inexact science of goal scoring. Who's to say that Korea is going to come out gangbusters, and once they get their shit together on a number of categories. We'll wait and see. Interestingly enough, I think there is something to be said about low expectations. When the results come in higher than expected, that's where supposedly scientifically a lot more happiness can be measured.
It's so random, like how goal scoring works. Like, it depends on the collective decisions of.
Lost to Norway. No, rather. The Netherlands 1-0. And I'm sorry, I cut you off, Jinseok.
No, it's fine, go on.
So the result today...
We're not the Netherlands, though.
Yep, 1-0. Robin van Persie scored in the 5th minute against Ghana, and that was your friendly today result. Ghana's first World Cup tune-up match. So the June 9th is going to be their second tune-up as well. And... I think there's a lot of anticipation though and nervousness because this being the last World Cup tune-up. What do you think? Does results really matter in these World Cup tune-ups?
I mean, we're definitely not the only team that's playing shittily right now. I heard Italy drew against Ireland. It was a 0-0 draw, so I don't know. Maybe things will change.
That's right, Japan.
Pre-World Cup tune-ups mean nothing, really.
Well, the performance matters.
You just have to learn from it. Pre-World Cup form never indicates World Cup form, ever. That's what I think.
There is something to be said, though, and I'm going to throw this out to everybody. There is this expectation before the Tunisian match. Korea had gotten a good result against Greece 2-0 away, and we're looking at a roster that's comprised of, and correct me if I'm wrong, we have the most European-trained-based players in our World Cup Korean squad ever. And so, with these old high-profile names like Son Heung-min and so forth, before the Tunisia match, I think psychologically, a lot of people that are Korea supporters were thinking we're going to roll through Tunisia, we're going to roll through and get out of the group stage. I think a lot of people's calculus has changed with the possibility that we may not be able to move out of the group stage. Just throw that discussion now out there to everybody.
What, the lower expectations?
You were talking about that on your Twitter account now, and I think the number of journalists too were talking about lower expectations. Or expectations.
I think probably temper is better, because I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. I think it's a nightmare scenario, but Korea could walk away with 1 point from this group if they lose to Russia, lose to Belgium, and draw Algeria. Yeah, and I think for a lot of people that was unthinkable. It's like, oh, that would be a nightmare, but it's really not. It's very possible that could happen. So
it's very possible that we
Tunisia maybe brings that.
Yeah.
Sorry, my computer's kind of lagging, so I don't always hear who's talking.
Tunisia what?
Oh, no, I was just saying the Tunisia game maybe brought that as a more of a possibility than I think some people thought. So yeah, in terms of lowering expectations, tempering it, yeah.
Yeah, what I was saying that it's possible to get 1, but it's very possible that we get 6.
Yeah, that's the thing about this group is that. Yeah, you could end up 6, 7 points, or we can end up with 1 or none. So that's kind of the thing about this group is that other than Belgium,
open.
I think the other 3 are closer than people think, and any of them could be any of them.
Yeah.
So it comes down to luck then.
Yeah.
That's what makes me nervous, I think, coming into this, because we know that on paper there's quality here with this squad, but we also know that there's some inconsistency. When they're on, they're on. When they're off, they're off. And I think let's take a look at this optimistically. You're right. We got Algeria is on paper a winnable match. Russia on paper is winnable. Belgium is going to be, everybody's going to agree, that's going to be the toughest opponent in Group G, or rather H. And so, 6 points is doable, and that potentially could be enough to get us out of the group.
6 points will be enough.
And it looks like this is a good transition point. This is a good transition point to talk about some updates. Tim, do you have any quick updates on what is happening with the Lady Taeguk Warriors?
Yeah, well, that tournament finished 6 days ago. Mm-hmm. It was the Women's Asian Cup, which also served as the qualifiers for the 2015 Women's World Cup here in Canada. Korea qualified, like I already mentioned. They finished 4th in the tournament overall. And Jinseok Yang was recalled by the Chelsea ladies after the group stage. So Korea ended up losing 2-1 to Australia in the semifinals and 2-1 to China in the 3rd place game. But Park Hyun-sun I believe she won the Golden Boot as top scorer.
Yeah.
So that's very positive. So yeah, so it's looking interesting getting into the Women's World Cup next year in Canada, and hopefully Korea will come play somewhere near where I live. So yeah.
I'm really encouraged by the tournament. There was a lot of goal scoring, especially that 12-0 win over Myanmar. I think this is a team that could really surprise a lot of people and turn a lot of people's attention and heads in Canada. Maybe I'll have to make a trip up next year to Canada. So, all right, cool. Thank you for that update. We have an AFC, is it a Champions League update?
Oh yeah, same day as the Tunisia game. They had the quarterfinal draw for the Champions League, AFC Champions League. there were two Korean teams, Pohang and Seoul, and they both got drawn together on the eastern side.
Again,
And then
it's rigged.
the other game will be a Guangzhou Evergrande will take on Western Sydney Wanderers in the other quarterfinal. So, and then on the west side isn't as important to us, but the west side, Al Hilal, Al Sadd in one tie, and Al Ain and Al Ittihad in the other. So
No clue who they are.
there are. Al Sadd has Lee Jung-soo, and
Right.
Al Hilal has Kwak Tae-heezon plays for Al Hilal actually.
Okay.
So yeah, a couple
I can't believe
veteran defenders in there.
Yeah, I can't believe
But-
Seoul drew with Pohang. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, Pohang got
Yeah.
drawn with the Korean team twice already.
Yeah. But why did they stop the country protection rule or whatever it was? Like, I don't. It didn't
Screw over the
Yeah.
Koreans, duh.
Right. Okay.
They
I know they want the West to be in the finals or something, but the country protection rule could still apply for at least the round of 16.
Yeah, I think it was just because since they split it east-west that it was just maybe they felt, I don't know, that maybe there wouldn't be enough options for draws. Because like Korea had 3 teams go to the round of 16, so did Saudi Arabia. So maybe they felt like if they country protected everyone, then there would inevitably be a tie that would be unavoidable maybe. I don't know. Because yeah, I mean, I think you could have country protection at least for this round of 16, but anyway. So there'll be one Korean team in the semis, probably maybe to take on Guangzhou again. But I don't know. That long trip to Australia is kind of a difficult one, so it's kind of good that we avoided that from Korea.
That's true.
Anyway.
Very cool.
Anyway.
All right, thank you for
Anyway, the
that.
quarterfinals not until August, I think. So they're ways off still after the World Cup.
And then a lot of it heats up into the fall. There's a lot of it's kind of weird because there's large gaps until the final in November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a quick update on the same day as the Tunisia friendly in Seoul. There was also the Toulon tournament U21s for the Taeguk Warriors represented, and they played a fairly decent tournament from what I understand. They weren't able to score a lot of goals in this tournament, but they had some good results. If this works, I'm hoping this works. Let's take a quick look at
I don't think the offense clicked very well at all. Moon Chang-jin and Ryu Sung-woo are supposed to be the stars, that they didn't play very well at all. The 2 bright spots were actually three. Yeon Jae-min, I really like him. Number 2, Lee Chang-min is starting to be very, very promising, and 3 is the goalkeeper who's been solid.
Very cool. Yeah, and that was surprising how Ryu Sung-woo wasn't able to make an impact in this particular tournament as he had in the the U20 World Cup last summer.
World Cup, yeah.
So that said, the first group match that they had in this tournament, South Korea lost to Brazil 2-0. They drew with Qatar, and that was kind of a very controversial match in which there was
complete B team. Yeah, two consecutive penalties. Bullshit.
Mm-hmm. That's what my understanding was. They got a good result against Colombia. Their next match, they won 1-0. Moon Chang-jin converted a penalty on the 68th minute. And then the last group match they had was against England. They drew with them 1-1, and Lee Chang-min had equalized in the 55th minute. And they had to wait until England, their fixture with Colombia, with the draw, England advances to the 3rd place match, and that ended South Korea's run in the Toulon tournament.
Oh, goal difference.
So that's our Toulon update, and I know that pretty soon there's going to be the U23 Taeguk Warriors team is going to represent in is it the Asia Games?
It's a friendly. There's a friendly coming up, but yeah, it's in preparation for the Asian Games.
Okay.
Yeah. And speaking of that, I have one really random question. Is that does anyone have any ideas who the 3 overage players that'll be used in the Asian Games are?
홍정호,
손흥민.
홍정호, 한국영. Son's not overage. I think it's gonna be 홍정호, 한국영, and that's it. I don't know about the third.
What about Son Heung-min? Son Heung-min.
He's not overage. He's only 21.
He's not overage.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. But I was thinking of somebody that needed military exemption.
Yeah.
So he's gonna be called up,
Juho?
but like not as a wild card.
Park Ju-ho?
Oh, Park Ju-ho's an option. The U23 left back. I don't know. I don't know about the U23 left back. So I can't say for sure.
They could certainly use
Park Ju-ho.
Park Ju-ho.
The current U23
So-
team is a little lacking in star quality.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot lacking.
Is Kim Seung-ju
Can someone remind me?
over-
Is the Asian? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Is Kim Seung-ju over 23 or is he under 23?
I think he's
Who?
over.
Wait,
Kim Seung-ju,
who?
the
Sung-gyu,
Kim Seung-ju is
goalkeeper,
23 right now.
Ulsan.
Oh, okay.
So he has a good chance of being overage.
Yeah.
yeah.
Can someone remind me? Is the Asian Games on the FIFA calendar? Are European clubs required to release players for that one?
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Because it's in what, September? I think this year.
That's right.
Yeah, I think it's October.
End of September, beginning of October. And for a club like Mainz, it'd be interesting that they wouldn't be obligated to release him, but you know, it might be a good strategy to release him so that if in case they win the gold, and only the gold I believe gets military exemption, they could have Park Ju-ho for quite a bit longer.
I don't know, because the only other thing that would play on my mind is that in the winter there's the Asian Cup, and they do have to release players for that. So I don't know how many clubs would be willing to basically send players out for like lose them for 2 months essentially.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Once for the Asian Games and one
Leverkusen.
for the Asian Cup.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know.
So I don't know if that'll play on the European club's mind. That it might agree with the KFA, like, well, we have to release them in the winter, but we're going to keep them. But I don't know. But then Germany has that really long winter break, so I don't know.
That's true.
Maybe.
Let's hope.
I don't know. We'll see.
To be determined. To be determined. But it'll be interesting to see who they get. And the military exemption thing just is still, you know, obviously it's not going to be anything they've solved soon. I just hope legislatively there could be some movement. But you know, who's to say if this will gain any traction to have some kind of flexibility with regard to, you know, maybe the possibility of deferment for star athletes. But it's, you know, an ongoing issue and problem for the Korean national team. Jay, you were mentioning something earlier about in a Twitter post using that was interesting, that you could walk down, you know, any street in Korea and not really know that Korea was in the World Cup. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that observation?
Oh, well, I was just saying that, I mean, usually these events, they have a lot of build to them, and so you really feel like there's a lot of, like, I don't know, signs of encouragement and, like, this kind of this anticipation, but you don't really feel it this year. But it also might be because I'm in Busan and they don't really care about football, so I don't know. But, I mean, there's, like, you feel like everyone's kind of just going through the motions for it. Like, companies are doing ads for it, but it's kind of like, yeah, we're doing it, but we kind of have to. But this, I think,
the
it's mainly just
seawall-
because, yeah, the seawall is looming large over everything still here. So everyone's kind of, and there was, I tweeted an article about it, and there were, you know, people commenting online is like, well, like, I'm not even gonna watch it because it's not appropriate to have this big party when, you know, people are still grieving and there are still bodies missing and so on. So, I mean, and like the official, like the fan group, the Red Devils, have put out statements. They're like, yes, we'll cheer for them, but we're cognizant of what's going on with the Saywall, and so we're not going to go all out. Cities, Busan, I think, is just having one watch party outside at Hyundai. I think Seoul's only having a couple, and they're going to be smaller. So
it is more difficult, logistically, because the World Cup matches are going to be. Some of them are going to be in the middle of the night. One of them might be at 7 a.m. I understand.
The World Cup, the group stages, Russia starts at 7, Algeria at 4.
3 or 4.
I think I'm pretty sure Algeria's at 4, and then Belgium's at 5. So I mean, they're early, but they're not prohibitively early.
5 in the morning or 5?
Yeah, all in the morning. Yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah, I mean, if the Saywall hadn't happened, I think there would still be big parties. But because it did, and the rescue operations are still ongoing, there's still, I think, about 16 bodies missing.
Yes.
That they haven't recovered. So I think that's still looming over everything. Because, if people noticed against Tunisia, the fans didn't start cheering until the 16th minute, and I think that's why.
Wow.
60 minutes of silence for the victims. And then I think in 16 minutes they started their chants.
I see.
And it's just even in the K League, it was just right before the end of the season that some of them started chanting again, but a lot of them still were not. So basically, it's everyone knows it's there. There are people who want to cheer, but there's just this feeling that it's kind of this blanket on it that it's not going to go big party time like it usually does.
Mm. Well, I want to throw this out to everybody, for all the Tavern writers. In deference to the Sewell loss, I still plan on trying to. I'm going to try to have a good time still watching the World Cup. I've had some very unusual ways of celebrating World Cup matches in the past due to several reasons. For example, 2010. The round of 16 match against Uruguay, I didn't know very many Koreans in Portland, Maine. So I actually crashed a Korean person's house with their family and watched it with them. And I just wanted to watch it with Koreans, but there's not many Koreans. So they thought it was a strange thing, but they welcomed me there. And I don't know. Let me ask everybody, if you could go and have your dream World Cup celebration viewing party, what have you, how would that look? And how, what kind of things would you have, food-wise or drink to celebrate? Let me throw it out to Tim first, because interesting. Oh, I'm sorry, Jeremy. Let me go to you.
Oh, I mean, I was just saying I would go to Brazil and celebrate there. If I had the money, of course, but I don't.
Yeah. It's the clincher, right?
Yeah, I heard there's a decent amount of Koreans in Rio de Janeiro. It's pretty cool.
There's a small population there or something.
Yeah, I have a Brazilian friend.
Okay.
We're gonna try to watch some games.
I don't know. I've never really had a huge World Cup party celebration thing that I remember, because wherever I seem to go, there's not many Koreans. It's I'm pretty sure we're the only Koreans, but 100-kilometer radius, or not maybe 100-kilometer radius, but I'm pretty sure we're the only Koreans that I know of as in my city. So I haven't had that experience, so I can't really dream too much about it. But I don't know. It's fine.
Let me ask Tim real quick. You did mention in your musings some recollection of when you were in Korea.
Oh yeah, that was back when I was a lot younger. That was the 2002 World Cup, but I don't remember bits of it. Yeah, and I mean, I know people went wild. Obviously, we all know that, and the apartment complex we were staying in went wild. But I was still very young, so I was only told this by people, and I don't really have very good memories of it, unfortunately.
I think if I had to guess,
if I left to the U.S. a year later, I would have been in Korea for that. I kind of regret it.
that would have been just a wild time. Judging by the pictures and the videos, I would have loved to have been in the streets of Seoul in 2002.
Speaking of which, that is how I would spend a World Cup, like in the streets with like fellow people, you know, like that's how I would do it.
Agreed.
Yeah.
When's the next World Cup? 2018. That could be an interesting way of viewing the World Cup in the streets of Seoul as a huge viewing party. And Jeremy, you were saying that LA usually has good viewing parties, big public viewing parties. Are they planning that again in LA with in the Korean community?
There are 2 World Cup viewing parties. One in Koreatown and another at this stadium called the Staples Center. I don't know if you guys are watching hockey. If any of you guys watch hockey, but
Canadian.
This has nothing to do with soccer, but the LA Kings might go to the Stanley Cup Finals, and if they do, then I'm not sure if Korea would be able to watch their group stage games at the Staples Center.
I'm pretty sure hockey takes priority over Koreans drinking in the Staples Center.
Right. Yeah.
That's a damn shame. I'm telling you.
That is a damn shame.
I like hockey though.
I feel like the vibe here is not very strong right now, probably because of the disaster that happened a month ago.
That's some of the themes I'm hearing. It seems to be putting a damper on enthusiasm. But I'm hoping this year I'm closer where I am in the East Coast. Just real quick, I'm closer to some of my Korean relatives, and I'm hoping most of them aren't really into football. I'm having to do some code switching here. So I'm really hoping to have a really large gathering, celebration, / family reunion, and make a party of it. So that's my hope.
And we all, well, I think I envy you, and I think Jinseok does too. I'm going to be sitting in front of my TV alone with popcorn.
That's kind of what I think. I'm going to be in the lab all day, so unless some of the games are actually in the evening, so here I'm living with 5 other guys, so like I'll be here. So, but like for the most part, I think a lot of the games are in the early afternoon. In which case, I'll be in the lab alone watching.
A lot of the Koreans. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say a lot of Koreans in Koreatown. They go to Korean restaurants and watch.
Watch the games there.
Yeah. There's a pretty big plaza right by my house. Really nice food court. TVs everywhere, so I'm sure they'll.
You're lucky. You're lucky.
Yeah. Very lucky.
I don't know.
How about you, Jay?
Still living in LA.
What am I doing for World Cup viewing? Probably because of my job, I'll just have to watch it here. Hyundai is kind of far. Hyundai is like 40 minutes away from here, so I don't know. Maybe for the 4 a.m. one, I could drive over there and get back to work in time.
That's brutal. Oh.
I have to drive to the beach.
Did you say it was Hyundai or?
Hyundai.
Oh.
Big, most popular beach in Korea, for some reason. It's not that great. It's really not that great, but anyway.
But you're saying they're setting up big screens out there?
Yeah, it's where if you've heard of the Busan Film Festival, it's where they have their big party thing. So they'll set up a big screen on. They have a little mini boardwalk kind of thing, and they'll set up big screens in the center part. So
screens and a beach. God damn.
Yeah, I know.
That's good.
Sit on the beach, some soju, watching soccer, football.
It's still 15 degrees where I am. It's incredibly uncharacteristically, well, not uncharacteristic. It's just cold. It's Canada. Like, what do you want? It's Canada. Cold. It's cold hockey. I mean, my city's grieving because their hockey team lost a few days ago. Everyone's sad.
I just thought of this. There is one more possibility. It's not set in stone, but there's an organizer from American University who's trying to set up a viewing party that's FIFA approved in DuPont Circle in D.C. Set up large screens. Apparently, it did something similar in 2010. This one particular day, it'll be the last group match period. So that's what is that? Belgium and Korea. And he's trying to rope all the embassies involved in Washington D.C. Of the countries that are participating on that day. So I don't know how far he's gotten with communicating with the Korean embassy, but I have his contact. I'm going to try to get a hold of him and see where they are in the process. But if it goes through, that's going to be really neat. But I suspect within the Korean American community in D.C., it's not, the World Cup is not the top of people's minds. So, it's going to have to be a lot of like last-minute publicizing to see if Koreans can come out in force. So yet to be determined. All right. Well, this is a bar, of course, a proverbial bar in which everybody's allowed to drink. There's no minimum drinking age. So I'm going to have a last call. Any last things you guys want to talk about? In reference to all the things that we were trying to break down. Korea versus Tunisia, going into Ghana, going to the Group H matches and beyond.
Stop freaking out about Tunisia and have optimism.
Okay, stop freaking out about Tunisia. We need to have optimism. Word.
I can be optimistic, but I think it's much more careful optimism. Like my expectations aren't. Well, my expectations never tend to be high, and I don't know. I guess it's just what happens. I guess it's like there isn't. I don't know. It's how I look at it right now.
I have nothing.
Oh no. Okay. Don't want to put you guys on the spot unnecessarily. All right. Well, I feel optimism. I am going to enjoy the World Cup no matter what. It is the world's greatest sports event, and I think everybody knows that Korea is not going to win the whole thing, especially not this year. But I do have some optimism. I think that on paper, we have the most amount of, European-based trained players. Europe is the test tube where the world's greatest footballing talent is battling each other, and I think a lot of our players are better for it, but ironically enough, they're either fatigued or at times have had inconsistent playing times. So it's been really interesting to see this kind of factor playing into our Korean World Cup team. But I'm very optimistic, and I really hope that we're going to have you as well out there, wherever you are in the world, are going to have a great time watching the World Cup. So please stay tuned to the Tavern, the Taeguk Warriors. Please drop by www.taegukwarriors.com for the latest updates and stay in communication. All right. Daehan Minguk, go Korea fighting, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.
Left hand.
Yeah, left hand. All right, let's see if I get this right. All right, and not that I'm necessarily a Ghana supporter.
You could have done that right before you ended the.
I know.
Wait, is this still going?
No, it's still going. So I'm going to end the broadcast right now. All right.
All right. Ciao,
Ciao, Gayo.